Welcome back to Mangastorian's Berserk series. Today we're going to be doing 3 more chapters because we have to stretch this out because apparently the writer is back on hiatus. And who knows how long that'll be because that guy goes on breaks forever. When we last left off, Farnese had been separated from the group, but she managed to get them a boat. But our hero's Guts and his troop would not be leaving her alone to be suffering with her family. A group was walking towards a series of guards who asked them to stop, and Shirkei told them that she was sorry, but they're letting themselves in. A few moments later, the guards look around asking what just happened, and Shirkei leads the group inside while chanting her magic. She begins to explain that she just has to keep their ode concealed, and then Guts and her notices something. The two look around at the ground and they see a fog creeping in, and Shirkei says that this is the same kind that attacked them on the beach. Something terrible is coming. But back out front, the guards hear something shuffling in the fog, and before they can reach out, something lunges at them. The creature growls as it begins to run towards the group, but rather than jump at them, it jumps into the fog, and it disappears. Ishidori says that it looked like a cat, even though it was a little big, and Guts looks around stating that it's strange that it didn't attack, but if something like that is coming, they have to hurry up and find Farnese. He then begins to think to himself that with that fog, they're going to be able to get around a little bit easier. But what is about to happen? A short while later, they reach the entrance to the ball and Shirkei begins to chant her magic on the guards, and then she senses something. Ishidori asks what's up and Shirkei begins to lead everyone, stating that Serpico just sent her a message and said that he was waiting at the back entrance. As everyone begins to head towards it, they walk inside of the palace and Shirkei calls out for Serpico. Before the group is a series of pillars with Kushin decor, and Serpico tells everyone that these pillars were left as a monument of victory when this land was reclaimed by the Kushins, and he is sorry to have to call them here. Guts doesn't answer, waiting to hear the rest, and Shirkei says that they need to hurry and find Farnese. Serpico draws his sword, stating that he's sorry, but he cannot allow them to do that, and to Guts, although it is exceedingly rude of him, he will accept his challenge right here. Ishidori asks, "What, are you going to fight?" Before Shirkei can ask, Guts reaches back for his sword, telling him, "All right." Shirkei tells him to stop, but Guts tells her that he must have thought this through. Do not move until they are done. Ishidori nervously asks, "You're not seriously going to fight each other? Can you at least stop for a second?" Guts gets into position, and as he brings his sword back, he hits one of the pillars, and Serpico says those pillars must have been a real nuisance for such a large sword. These rows of pillars are called the Forest of Pillars, and they're thicker than normal. Normally, you wouldn't be able to fight head-on, so the stage is set up. Guts laughs, telling him, "You're a sneak as usual." And as he swings, he begins to cut through the pillars as if they were nothing. Serpico knew that Guts needed a large area to fight effectively, so his swings would be too broad to swing in a small confined area. And as the tip of Guts' sword comes close to his face, Serpico knew that his choice of battleground would have little effect on a man who could destroy anything in his path. Guts' sword rests lodged into a pillar of stone, and with a brief moment, Serpico counters by swinging his sword aimed right at Guts' face. The sound of the metal can be heard as Guts holds up his fake arm, catching the blow, and as the blood begins to drip from his cheek, he realizes that he's just a bit too slow. He uses his strength to pull out the sword and spin it around, cutting through more pillars and at Serpico's torso. And just as the sword loses momentum, Serpico stands behind the last pillar, swiping, causing Guts to pull back. Still listening to what Guts told them, Shirkei and Ishidori are forced to watch, not being able to help either side. Even though Guts can swing his sword with injuries that he sustained in the last battle, the sword's speed can never really reach full maximum swings. The tiny setback is what allows Serpico to narrowly dodge Guts' attacks and strike when the time is right. But this time, after Guts swings one last time, Serpico sees his cloak ripped and his arm bleeding. Guts is covered in armor, and there's no way that Serpico can pierce through it or land a decisive blow. Just then, Guts pulls back, and rather than swinging his sword, he thrusts it straight towards Serpico. Serpico barely parries that sword, flicking his wrist as Guts' blade grazes his cheek. Serpico's sword hits its mark, and as Serpico looks, Guts has changed his grip last minute, allowing his fake hand to provide shielding to his other. As the sword passes by, Serpico rolls to avoid being hit, seeing that Guts learned to read his moves. He is as strong as he expected, extraordinarily so, but even this cannot go any further. Guts thrusts again, and using that small window, Serpico leaps to the side of the pillar, and he jumps to the one right behind Guts. Serpico attacks, but Guts is quick to throw back his metal arm, stopping the attacks. Serpico grits his teeth, thinking that Guts has grown since they've been traveling together. Not only him, but Farnese as well. They've all changed a little bit. Guts is a man who attacks his fate head-on, burning everything in his wake, the opposite of Serpico. But maybe subconsciously, he too has been changed. Normally, he is a cold and indifferent person, but Guts' heat may have affected him as well. That's why this can't go on. He won't allow it. If Guts continues, it will only end in Farnese's death. Serpico looks around and sees there are no more pillars to stop Guts' swing, which means that he can no longer evade the attacks. So this next one will decide the match. Guts takes his sword and he swings, and just as it reaches the last pillar, Serpico jumps up, grabbing the top of the pillar to bring the stone structure down on Guts. He looks up knowing that he can't move in time as Serpico takes the chance to strike. But rather than protecting himself directly from Serpico, Guts swings his sword broadside up to cover himself from the falling rocks. As the rocks begin to fall, Guts swings his sword overhead, smashing through the rocks down onto Serpico. Serpico watches as the broken pieces fly by, and then he feels the flat side of the blade slam him into the ground. He coughs, stating that he didn't think that he would have to use the falling pillars to his advantage. Did he plan that? Guts tells him, no, it's just a coincidence, that's all. Serpico then gets up, rubbing his head, stating that his reflexes sure are something. But after meeting with Farnese, what does he plan on doing? Guts waits for a moment and then he says that he's not sure. He's just going to see her, that's all he's decided for now. Serpico smiles, telling him, you really are a guy that plays things by the ear, huh? But rather than responding, Guts tells everyone that they need to hurry. As they walk away, Ishidori stops Guts, asking, hey, were you seriously fighting back there? And Guts looks back, telling him, yeah. And Ishidori asks, what about that last part? Wasn't that just a coincidence? Guts continues to walk, telling him, that's what being a swordsman is. Before Ishidori could say anything else, Serpico places his hand on his shoulder, telling him that Guts was serious. They had an unspoken condition that they agreed upon. Guts answered the challenge with his sword, no matter how bad the circumstances were for him. He wouldn't use arrows or his cannon. He would fight straight and honest, and most of all, he didn't release the power of the armor. It was also possible that he may have lacked the power to force Guts into using those tools, but nevertheless, he will simply place his hope into the unyielding spirit. While Guts walks ahead, he tells everyone that they need to go. The monster from before is still bugging him, and Serpico asks, what do you mean monsters? Shirkei explains that when they came here, they ran into a creature similar to the monsters that they sacked on the beach, but no one knows why. Serpico then says that he might have an answer to that. The mages that he killed on the beach were definitely Kushin. It's possible that the Kushin were using those monsters to scout. Guts looks back and says that if that's the case, this city's about to be a battleground. As soon as Guts says that, Shirkei flashes back to when Sonya told her that she must not leave the city. Is this what she was referring to? Guts goes on telling everyone that if the monster was a scout, it's most likely that it'll be headed to where everyone is gathering. Farnese could be in trouble. Serpico's eyes widen as he grips the wound on his arm, and then he says, all right, I'll lead the way. Shirkei tells Serpico to hang on. He should take his stuff back. Shirkei then holds out his sword and cloak, but before Serpico can even grab them, they float back to him all on their own. Shirkei says that it would seem the sylphs want to return to their master as well. Back upstairs, though, Farnese's father, Frederico, walks to the center stage, telling everyone that tomorrow they will begin their holy war. They have the largest military force called here, so let this be their last ceremony before they send the troops into battle. A toast to victory. Everyone in the halls begins to cheer as if there is one person calling for everyone's attention. Magnifico walks through everyone, telling them that he should use this ball to make an important announcement concerning the house of Vandeminion. He would like to present two people. First, Roderick, third in line for the throne of the wise, and second his sis. And as Magnifico looks back at Farnese, she is already gone. Frederico steps up asking what is this announcement that he's yelling about. But before Magnifico can try to answer that question, Lady Vandeminion quietly laughs to herself, telling Magnifico not to rely on Farnese. And that concludes where we're going to leave this chapter of Berserk. Don't forget to subscribe to get another video next Friday on Berserk, and I hope to see you guys here.